Today's video is going to be split down into two sections. I was initially going to do it all as a single session, but actually I think it might be more useful if I break it into two chunks. So the first chunk is going to deal with breakbeats. So in this first video, I already have recorded in a drum beat, which I'm then going to show you two different ways of getting that in time. The first method is by reducing the speed or increasing the speed of the track so that it matches the tempo of the beat. The second method is going to be reducing the pitch of the sample. It's kind of an old school way of doing it. Now, I could just chop it up as it is. I could just leave the break at whatever tempo it is compared to the track, cut it at the kick, the snare, the hi-hat, and anything else that I want to take from the loop. The reason I'm not going to do that is because I like to have the beat be able to kind of rock on its own. And the only way it does that without seeming kind of jarring is by having the air between the hits, so that there's no silence between the drum hits. So you get the kick and then the hi-hat and then the snare and then the other hi-hat, and there's no gap in between the kick and the hi-hat, because there's basically the negative space, but there's no such thing as negative space on a loop, because you've got the surface noise from the record that you sampled it from, or from, whatever else, the tape that it was recorded on, whatever else it might be. So you want to leave some of the air in between the kicks. It's a tried and tested method, but it basically means that your drums feel a lot more like a classic loop, even though all you've done is chopped them. So, first method. As you can see, I've recorded in my drum break. Now I'm going to play that onto a single bar. And you can see that that's not the right tempo. So I'm going to need to mess with the tempo. It needs to be a bit slower. Still not quite there, a bit slower. Beautiful. So to test it out, I'm going to double it up so we've got 2 bars. Okay, it's only 2 bars long, so there's no point going as long as 4 bars. Now the other method, here I'm slow pitching down the drums now, so I want it at a lower tempo track. You can hear I've got the metronome keeping time. Now that's nice and solid. Now you can hear obviously it's much slower. The thing about slowing down the pitch, it makes the whole drum break a lot dirtier. So now that I've got that and I'm happy with it, I'm going to copy that across so that I've got my kick, my hi-hat, my snare. I'm going to go for the open hi-hat as well if I fancy that. So here with kick on the first one. Now I've got my closed hi-hat on the second. I'm going to go for the snare on the third one. There we go, it's got the snare. And then I'm going to copy that across, and I'm going to take out that closed hi-hat, the open hi-hat at the end. So those are fine, I could make a beat from those. But to give myself some more variety, let's take that open hi-hat. Nice. Now the other thing that I want to get, there's an offbeat drum. An offbeat kick drum. There we go. So I just want to trim that one nicely. Now you can hear the initial kick has a lot more weight to it, and it's also got a hi-hat underneath it. I don't want that. So I'm building a basic pattern. Keep it quantized for the time being. See, I've dropped in that extra kick. Now I'm unquantized when I go for the extra kick, because that's where the looseness comes from. Now, you may have seen on a previous tutorial the little trick that I do about the timing on the hi-hat. If you've not seen it, check back the other videos. Basically, having the air around the hi-hat means that you can vary the timing of it without having to re-record it. You can just change the point at which the sample starts. Now I'm creating a few variations of this, just to see what it is that I want to go with. Quite happy with all of these, to be honest. But the more that I'm listening to this break, the more that I'm thinking I'd quite like to make it a bit dirtier. So these are fine, I've got no issue with these at all. These drum loops are nice, I'd happily use any of these. But what we can do on KOALA is, and you'll see me do this plenty of times before if you've watched the channel, if I go over onto the perform window, so let's choose this drum break here. Quite a simple pattern. Now I'm going to put a hold on, let's add some dirt and some compression. Nice little bit of bit crushing. It adds that classic sampler feel. I kind of grew up on that sound, and the things don't quite sound right until I've got that little bit of crunch, but only subtle. Now you don't hear much of the vibro flange, you won't hear much of the kind of wobble, but just a little bit to give yourself something on the hi-hat. So now I've got that in there, and I'm going to chop that across exactly the same as I did before. So now I'm going to break that down to the kick. On the first one I'm going to put the kick. You'll notice I always place them in the same place. That's just something, a habit I got used to, and I know where all the hits are then. I'm not fishing around for, where did I put the kick, where's the hi-hat, where's the snare. I know where they are. So we've got the kick and the hi-hat. Now I didn't have the open, I didn't decide to use the open hi-hat in the end on this one, so I've just got the extra kick. Now I've got a couple of hi-hats to see if there's variation. Honestly, there's not enough, so I'm just gonna go with one hi-hat. There we go, those are the 4 principal beats. Now I'm gonna create my beat. I'm quite happy you can hear the difference between those two, the clean ones and the affected ones. Obviously they're louder for a start, but they've got a bit of extra kick, a bit of extra punch to them. That's what I want to hear. So let's build another pattern out of those, exactly the same as I did before. Extra kick. Just keeps it nodding there on there. With the quantize off, that's what gives you the swing. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I can get rid of that one now. And I've got my drum loop, I'm ready to go. Now for the next video, this drum loop's going to form the basis. But just to give you an example of how I do drum programming, I wanted to break this down and keep this separate from what's going to follow it. Don't forget to stay tuned for the next video. Now, I really appreciate people liking and subscribing. As much as you'll hear lots of people say this, it genuinely does help. It helps give me more prominence, helps get more people to see the channel. Ultimately, I'm kind of shining a light on some things that you might not necessarily pick up on automatically. A lot of people used to hide this stuff and keep it secret. It's not something that I believe in. So if people can get something from the channel and learn something whether you do it on KOALA or whatever you use. I just use KOALA because it's what I particularly like. I'm going to do videos on hardware samplers and all that kind of thing. The techniques are the same. So whatever you use, hopefully you'll get something from these. Do like and subscribe to the channel. Join the beat cult. Tell friends. If you know anybody who could get on board with this, and also if you've got children or you got friends of children who are kind of getting into this, teenagers, whatever, I'm not going to swear on the channel. So it's always going to be safe. You can share this stuff. Yes, it's called a beat cult. Your parents might not dig that. But that's just how we roll. Join the beat cult.